Hello everybody, welcome to Fruitful Trees. We're at the beginning of mango season really soon. There are some people, Alex at Tropical Lake has already had some ripe mangoes off his tree, which is pretty amazing. But for the average person, we got a lot of little baby mangoes on our tree and we're just about to explode. And I just want to talk about some of the mango trees because some of you are new to growing mangoes and you might be wondering what trees to get, what not. And it's important to remember a couple of things. Number one is each mango has a season. So if you only have 3 mango trees, or could only get 3 mango trees, you don't want to get 3 mango trees that have the same season. You want to kind of get an early, a middle, and a late. So that's one thing you want to think about. Another thing you want to think about is flavor. No matter what you've heard about a mango, you want to get a mango that you enjoy, that you like. So I recommend not only tasting the mango first, but tasting it at least 3 times at 3 different places. Because I've tasted mangoes that I didn't like, and then I tasted them at another time in at the same place or somewhere else, and it was a completely different experience. So you want to try to give it a fair estimate before you choose on that mango. But I'm going to talk about some of the mangoes I definitely recommend you look at. And all of the seasons overlap each other, so it's a little hard to figure it out. Now, I'm talking from, I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida, so when you read that, consider that, because I know in Jupiter, where it's about maybe a half hour north of me, their season is almost a month later than me. So when I get a mango, a month later, they're first getting that mango. And Orlando's another different story. So what I'm talking about here is in South Florida. So I've tried my best to figure out and pick the best mango varieties out possible that's going to please my palate, so to say. But I also consider the trees that are less disease prone, or as they say, more disease resistant. And also, you want to think about the quality of the the amount of the fruit, that how well the tree produces. So, but it's very interesting because there's this tree behind me here, which is a lemon meringue mango. I'm sorry, a lemon zest mango, which is a daughter of lemon meringue. And Alex at Tropical Acres, this was one of his most difficult trees. So much after 10 tries of times of trying to grow this tree and get fruit that didn't have something called bacterial black spot, which is the disease that is really difficult to avoid if the tree is prone to it. He ended up taking out all of his lemon zest trees and not growing them. But my neighbor across the street, he grew this and it grew wonderful. And yes, he got the disease, but maybe 10 or 20% of the tree was with the disease, and the most of it wasn't. And I know if Alex would have got that kind of rate, he would have stuck with it. To me, this is the best tasting mango. Production-wise, remains to be seen. I know somebody with a big tree and it produces really well. And they don't have the disease either, which is quite interesting because I don't know anyone who sprays more diligently and educationally than Alex, and he would get the disease and they wouldn't. Now, I guess the area you're in and so on, and things that have a lot to do with it. So I love this mango. This is a lemon zest. And people would just ask me, somebody would just ask me, is how are these trees so small? And I was telling them, if I never trim this tree can grow up to 40 feet or more. And there are different varieties, some trees that are more vigorous than others. So if you don't have a lot of space, or you're gonna plan to keep these trees shorter, you want to plant some varieties that are dwarf or semi-dwarf, or at least they don't grow. They're not as extreme vigorous trees. But we do it the best we can, And I've learned a lot since I did this. So this tree here is a lemon zest. Now this tree here, a little tour of my yard today. This tree here is a sweet tart. I keep referencing Alex at Tropical Acres Farms. I've had him on the show many times because he is the most available expert when it comes to mangoes around, and he's just wonderful. He has a place called Tropical Acres Farms. I'll put a link below. But this is his favorite overall mango. Of all the many varieties he has there, hundreds and hundreds, this is his favorite variety. It's called Sweet Tart. Now, for me, I have not yet figured out how to pick them ripe. I know I'm going to get a lot of comments after that of people who have telling me what to do and what not to do. But it seems like they go from green to bad. There's no like stage where, okay, now they're ready, where most other mangoes you can kind of tell. So I picked some green, they were okay, and some weren't. And I picked some later on, and they were okay, and some weren't. But Alex gave me one, and the one he gave me was picked at the right time. It was absolutely great. But these, I've had a tough time. This tree is also known as a branch breaker because it literally bends the branches so much. I know somebody who has a really big tree, and it just happens to be the same person that I was talking about that had the big lemon zest. I had them on the show before. Amazing thing to have. I'll put that link below or a card here or whatever they say at YouTube there. But here is a sweet tart tree. I love it. And just having these trees so close now, I make a lot of videos about high intensity growing and growing things to high density growing, not intensity. I'm high with my intensity and my density, but high intensity growing. And I'm going to show you something quite interesting. I have over here a sugarloaf tree that was planted years, maybe like, 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years after these other trees behind me, or 3 years. That's a sugarloaf tree, and it's interesting because it's starting to catch up. It's still half the size of that sweet tart, and I did trim that sweet tart. But sugarloaf is one of the best I've ever tasted. Now that's another one. You can pick it green. It's a little challenging when to pick it. And with that one, you need to be very patient. If you have a sugarloaf tree and you haven't gotten mangoes yet, most trees will give you mangoes relatively quickly after a couple of years. But the sugarloaf will get a lot of male flowers, and by the time you get fruit and female flowers, it usually takes longer than the other ones. But when that's going to grow, I'm going to have these 3 trees here. Now, I had in the corner there at one point a pineapple pleasure, and they were about 8 feet apart. And some of you said, oh, that's fine, just cut them back and trim them. There is no way, and these trees aren't even fully grown because I trimmed them and they're not too wide. There's no way pineapple pleasure or any mango is going to fit in there right now. I do have a baby mango in a pot, but there's no way. So I'm glad I cut those. As a matter of fact, here's what I'm foreseeing in the future. I would love to keep these trees this size. I'm going to try to keep them this size. But if they get any bigger, they're getting kind of close. I might have to take out the sweet tart in the future. That's not my goal. My goal is to hopefully they won't get bigger than this. But if they do, that might what happen. Now, and there's the sugarloaf. So let's look here some more. So this is an interesting tree. This is called a cac tree, a cac mango. And look at all my trees now pretty much have babies on them. This is called a cac mango. And this tree here is probably according to Alex, one of the most disease-resistant mango trees you can find. And it was one of my favorite mangoes last year. Taste-wise, it's excellent. According to Alex, producing-wise, it's excellent. Overall, it's a bulletproof tree, and I love it. I'd have to say, after last year, it has to be. It's definitely in my top 10, possibly in my top 5. CAC, C-A-C. And you can look at all these mangoes on tropicalacresfarms.com. So I'm going to show you a few other ones here as we're getting ready for mango season. This one is amazing. Let me turn around the camera and show you this one. This tree here is orange sherbet tree, and it didn't have as many flowers as the other trees, but it's flowering a little later than the other trees, but it is really starting to come along. And this is another relative or sibling of the lemon meringue tree. That is a wonderful tree. That's called orange sherbet. And this was the disappointment this year. Lemon meringue, last year this tree was absolutely loaded. This year, there's no fruits on them. And the same thing with another lemon meringue that I have right behind. Now, the 2 things I did was I trimmed these trees extremely, that one and that one. I trimmed these trees a lot last year, and maybe perhaps too much. There's a few flowers, but and maybe too much. Another problem is they appear to have been sunburned from my trim job. So that was a learning lesson. So the trees appear to be sunburned. That won't destroy the tree, and I don't know if that's what made the trees not have as much mangoes on them this year. But I went to my neighbor's yard, and he has a bunch of trees like me, and the only tree that doesn't have any bloom on them this year is his lemon meringue as well. So maybe it's just something with lemon meringue. I don't know. This tree was sunburned as well. So we're waiting to see. So that's a sunburn, proof of sunburn, because I cut this thing way back. Now, if any of you watching have lemon meringue, let me know how that's fruiting for you this year. This here is my M4. And my M4 tree, not as many flowers. This is a relatively much newer tree than all the other trees we're looking at. It has some flowers here on the south side of the tree. And this one here is this is a Duncan tree that I converted to Sweet Tart. I'm sorry, a Duncan tree that I converted to Sunrise. And it is really looking well. That's the Duncan part. And I was going to get rid of Duncan, but I ended up liking Duncan. So I like Duncan a lot. So, well, a good amount. So, and those are probably my biggest mangoes right now, other than my Rosy Gold, is my Duncan mangoes. And then, so this is a Duncan and a Sunrise mango, but I have on this tree one branch of Sweet Tart, which I believe is this branch, and there's nothing on that one. And then I have one branch of a Bailey's Marble, so we'll see how that ends up producing. Now I'm going to go to the front and show you some of the progress on the trees there. This tree here is my multi-graft tree. So originally it was a Kent tree, and I still have one line left on here of Kent, and it's just pushing out a flower now. But the major thing I put on here was Angie, and Angie is loaded on this tree. Really loaded. Now I had at the bottom of this an orange sherbet that I wish I would have kept, but I took it off because it symmetrically wasn't looking that great and it was really low to the ground. But on this side here I have a Fairchild. So that's Fairchild. So Fairchild and Angie are really taking off on that tree. For all you fans of dwarf trees, this is the Pickering. This is my Pickering tree in my front yard, and look at all those mangoes. Wow. That's a Pickering, and it's looking great on every side. And we'll see how the flavor is on the Pickering. Hasn't been my most impressive or impressed flavor, but we'll see. Now we're going to head over to Mango Land. All right, everybody, here we are in Mango Land, and this is a tree that I changed my mind about, and I think it's a great tree. Now, it's called Rosy Gold, and it's supposed to be the earliest mango you're going to find, and it's my biggest mangoes so far. Rosy Gold. Now, the advantage of this mango tree is, besides it being one of the most prolific trees you'll get, produce-wise, is it's supposed to have the earliest mangoes. The problem is, from my experience, the mangoes don't taste good when you pick them early or when you get the early ones. But as you get into the season and you get a Rosy Gold that's in par with the other mangoes, it's a very good mango. So that's Rosy Gold. Here is Juliet. Nothing happening on Juliet. Nothing happening there. This one is Honey Kiss. Last year, I got to interview somebody who had Honey Kiss in their garden, and I tasted them. Very impressed with it. So that's a Honey Kiss. Honey Kiss. And this is really, wow, this is a Test Pollock. This one's really nice. It's a great bloomer for Alex at Tropical Acres. I don't have as many flowers on this side, but I still got some. And then on this side, I got a few as well. But that's Test Pollock. And I thought about making some space and taking some of these out, but these are all semi dwarf varieties, and I'm going to keep all of them. Now, besides mangoes, I have a lot of other fruit trees, but just looking at the mangoes here, this has been a disappointment so far for myself and my neighbor. This one is called Pineapple Pleasure. This is, in fact, is the one I moved from next door. And my tree and my neighbor's tree had a lot of flowers. Well, his tree had a lot of flowers. Mine didn't have a lot of flowers. It's setting some fruit, but not much. And his tree, the same situation, not much there. Here's my Angie. A good amount of flowers. It's still on the smaller side. And here's my Ceci Love that's growing really nice. And it has a few flowers there. I don't think I'm going to let this hold fruit, but there are still a few on there. Now, here's my ice cream. And this was, had a good amount of sulfur on it. I mean, powdery mildew on it. But still some mangoes came through. My Rosy Gold had a powdery mildew as well, but still some mangoes made it through, so that's cool. Here is my Carla. A lot of people haven't heard of Carla. Wow, I just seen today my first flowers on Carla. And the tree behind that is a Nam Duck Mai. That's my neighbor's Nam Duck Mai. And here is my Kesar. Doesn't get as much sun. And as this grows up, I'm going to cut back that Nam Duck Mai. And here's my ST Maui planted as a 1 gallon. And look at it, it's growing real nice now. So that'd be in a 15 gallon easily if you purchased it. So I'm excited. That's a great mango, ST Maui. This one was a seedling, and I grafted a bunch of grafts on it, and 2 grafts took, but they're not labeled. So there's this one and this one. The good news is I've only tried grafting 3 or 4 different types, so I know it's one of those 3 or different 4, and when the mangoes come out, I will know what they were. I got a couple of mangoes in pots here, but this is another disappointment. This is my fruit cocktail tree. I love the fruit. I love the taste of the fruit. The problem is it had powdery mildew, and it flowered great, but there's only a few fruit that seem to have set. That's probably one of my biggest trees in Mangoland over here. This is another one. This is an Edgar. No bloom this year at all. Edgar. No flowers, not 1 flower on this tree. I have a seedling here. And, well, no, that's the seedling. This one here is Neelam. Neelam, I believe. And then we have this Pickering, which I got from Leaf's Yard, who sells fruit trees in West Palm Beach. We took this out of the ground and I transferred it here, and finally it's getting some flowers. So this is a pretty old Pickering, and he was nice enough to let me take it. Look at this side here. So that's pretty cool. And here is a sweet tart that I grafted myself. The first tree I grafted myself from a seedling. And it's loaded as well. Now this winter, I put this tree in here because I already have a Pickering and those grow small, but I wanted to get this in the ground. And this tree here is Apricot Mango. Apricot Mango. Excellent mango that not many people know about. Coming over here, not too many things on my guava tree this year, not too many mangoes. And this is the graham tree, not too many this year as well. Then I have a sugarloaf here. A lot of flowers, no fruit. And a coconut cream that looks like no fruit as well. For the first year, my phoenix that I put in the ground is doing well and has flowers and a good amount of fruit that I'm going to let hold. Maybe. Maybe I won't, but that's phoenix, excellent variety. Now, a big surprise here is my buttercream. It is doing well. It has some powdery mildew, but besides that, the tree has a good amount of fruit and it's holding it well. My #1 tasting mango last year that I absolutely loved, besides lemon zest, was this one. Super Alfonso. And this year is going to be very promising. It's Super Alfonso. For those of you that watch my channel, I got my water system in now, and I turned the water on because I keep the mango trees off water all year, but I just turned them on because I have the small babies on there now, and now's a good time. This one's a white Peri. This tree was covered in powdery mildew. I did a video about it last time, but a few mangoes seem to have made it through. And this mango, if you want to talk about taste, is absolutely amazing. And I recommend everyone try white Peri. This is another one I put in the ground that's between these two trees. I had taken out a mango, a Kathy K3 from there to make space, but then I put in a fruit punch. I should have kept a Kathy there. I don't know what I was thinking, but eventually it's going to be too much space. It's a temporary tree. This is a triple sec. It's looking good. Some fruit on there. And this one is a dot. That was a dot. And that's looking as well. That's good. And then coming around here, I have a Karen Michelle that I put in. And you'll see how this will catch up to the other ones. Over there, I have a step mango that many of you haven't heard of. I believe it's from Hawaii. And it has some fruit. I'm excited about that. That's nice. The first time I had this step, it wasn't nice, but it was nice, but then it wasn't, so we'll see. This here is a sunrise. It's my second sunrise tree. It has some fruit as well. And then I have my orange essence. And believe it or not, I took a good amount of trees, maybe 7 trees out since last season. That's orange essence. I haven't tasted it yet, but it's growing nice. And then my little gem, which is proving to be big, is doing really well and doing great. And over here, I even have my peach cobbler, which is giving off flowers for the good amount of flowers. I haven't had this many flowers on here, so no fruit, but a good amount of flowers. Finishing off in the front here amongst all the other fruit that I have, this is a Pim Sung Moon. This is a green mango. Nothing on there right now. And this one was a Prime Kame, my first flowers. And then closing off, this is it was a seedling that I converted to an ice cream. Back at our Rosy Gold. All right, everybody, that was a tour of the mango situation and what's growing on out here. And my neighbor has a bunch of mangoes on his trees as well. Maybe we'll take another tour there another time. Now, since last season, I don't know how many of you noticed, I got rid of several trees because there was just too tight in there. I got rid of a K3. I got rid of a Bailey's Marble. I got rid of a Namduk Mai. I got rid of an 015, and I got rid of a Glen. Those are the trees that I ended up getting rid of. I didn't get rid of them. I either gave them to other people or sold them. And they have good homes. And I know where they went, so I'll still get to taste mangoes from them eventually. But that's where we're at now, everybody. And we're going to have a lot of mangoes coming up, it looks like, this year. and other fruit as well. I'm also going to have just a great year for just growing fruits, and I'm excited to make more videos showing people these fruits. I want to give you early advance notice. If you want to taste all these different types of mangoes, get ready. Father's Day this year, I forget the date, we're going to have a mango tasting at Tropical Acres Farms like we had last year, and it was absolutely amazing. So reserve that date, get there early. There can be so many varieties of mangoes you can get to taste, because they know when to pick them at Tropical Acres Farms, and it's gonna be wonderful. So if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to this channel and share it with others. And if there's somebody, or maybe yourself, you're growing mangoes and your tree's looking great and you want me to interview you and have you on a show and feature you on a show, my contact information is below. I'd love to get out to many people's houses who have these trees and these amazing fruits and things happening. So contact me. Until then, everybody, thank you for watching. Have a great day and keep growing.